Ginny, Reddick, and we're about to get started, but before I do, I want you to mark your calendars for our next Champion's Edge call. It's September the 12th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. The title is How to Leverage Today's Best Marketing Tools to Grow Your Business. It's going to be with Coach Michael Reagan, and he's going to have a guest, Darren Petoni, with the IT workshop. I think you guys will really get a lot out of that call. Well, I'm so excited about what we have planned for you today on this call. I've been a Building Champions coach for 12 years, and I can tell you guys that what I've experienced with clients over the years is that I've seen healthy habits not only increase productivity, but I've seen it play a critical role in even people building and restoring relationships. Your health is vital to every area of your life and business, and things just seem to work better when you feel better. I have some clients who have lost over 50 pounds and not only feel much better, but they've seen their productivity skyrocket in the process. So today we have with us Ginny Reddick, who is the manager. She's the manager of the Chick-fil-A Wellness Center at the Chick-fil-A home office in Atlanta. She's a registered dietitian. She's a graduate of Auburn University, where she studied nutrition sciences and completed her dietetic training at the University of Alabama in Birmingham. Last year, Ginny presented at our Building Champions experience on this topic, and people loved it. So we thought we would just bring it back to you today in this call. And although I can't promise that what Ginny will say will make you productive, or you won't be more productive just because you're on this call, I can tell you that if you do what Ginny says, that you can put yourself in the best position to be more productive. And with that, it could also save your life. So, Ginny, I'm going to just turn it over to you now and let you take it away.
Thanks, Tim. Well, good morning and good afternoon. Like Tim said, my name's Ginny Reddick, and our topic today is healthy habits that increase productivity. And there's really many principles that are going to increase your productivity. There's a bottom line, though, in being productive. You have to have energy. You have to have physical energy, emotional energy, mental energy to produce something. So today, I want to focus on that physical energy piece. And I'm going to give you simple, healthy habits that are going to give you energy to be productive at work and at home and in your relationships. So what is energy? Webster's defines energy as the capacity for vigorous activity for available power. I like to sum that definition up into energy is the ability to do what you want when you want to do it. So I want you to take just a few moments and answer a couple of questions I have for you. Take out a piece of paper, a pen, jot down a couple words or phrases. When I ask you these questions, what first comes to mind? So first, what if you had your best energy throughout the entire day? Would your day look different than it does now? And if so, how would it look differently? Would you be more productive at work? Would you be more engaged in your relationships? Would you have a better golf game? Whatever it is, what would your day look different if you had your best energy? And if you had your best energy throughout the day, who would be affected? Your team, your coworkers, family or friends, your golfing buddy? Who would be affected? So how do you get your best energy throughout the entire day? How can you do what you want when you want to do it? It really comes down to how we fuel ourselves and how we move to get that sustained, consistent best energy. So first, I want to talk about your fuel. So food is the fuel for life. Just like gas is the fuel for a car, or a cell phone is, or a battery is fuel for a cell phone. And you may be thinking, great, I love food. I love food so much that I have a lot of fuel to last for a really long time. Or you may be thinking, shoot, I don't even think about food. I don't have time. I just eat whatever is convenient and I move through my day. So whatever your first thought is when I said food is your fuel, I want to help you today to understand why food is an essential part of having your best energy. And I want to tell you how to practically apply that in your life. So let's dive into why food is your fuel and why it is so important as having efficient energy. So the sugar in your blood, which is called glucose, is what supplies your body with energy. Glucose gives you the ability to think, gives you the ability to walk, to get out of bed in the morning. It even helps you breathe. I mean, it gives you the ability to breathe. It helps you function in every which way. And you have a normal blood glucose range that your body likes to be at, very similar to your body having a normal temperature. It likes to be at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. And if it is too hot, it's going to sweat to get back to that. Or if you're too cold, it's going to shiver to get back to it. Your blood glucose is going to do the same thing. It's going to react when it's out of range. And you want to make sure it's in range so that you have your optimal energy and your body is functioning properly. So what happens when your blood glucose is too high? When it gets too high, it's because you've eaten too much. Maybe you sat down at a meal and you just ate a lot, or you eat a lot of those sugary or carbohydrate foods. When your blood glucose goes too high, that means that you're going to be like not functioning as well, and you're going to feel sluggish. Maybe after Thanksgiving meal, you're like, oh, you want to go take a nap. You can't think as clearly. What happens in your body is your body is going to say, hey, that's all the fuel I need, and you've given me more than I need, so I'm going to store the extra as fat. So fat is the storehouse for all the extra food we give our body at one time. What happens when your blood glucose goes too low out of that normal range? Again, your body's going to react. You're going to get tired. You're going to get cranky. You're going to be irritable. You're not going to want to put on your running shoes and go out for a run. And what's happening internally is that your blood glucose is dropped, and your body's like, I need energy. I need glucose from somewhere. So it begins to break down your muscle, and it will pull glucose from your brain to get that blood glucose back into a normal range. So when you haven't eaten, you skipped breakfast, or you wait a really long time in between meals to eat, then you are surviving off of your muscle and your brain, which is why you're tired, which is why you can't think clearly. All that happens when your blood glucose is out of range. How do you prevent storing fat and breaking down your muscle? You have to keep that blood glucose in that normal, optimal range. So let's just take an example of a day where you fueled properly and where you didn't fuel properly. So let's say you're fueling properly. That means you're waking up in the morning, you're eating breakfast, you're getting the chores done in the morning, you're headed to work, you sit down at your computer, you're knocking out emails, you're getting your projects done, and a couple hours later, your blood glucose begins to drop, you eat a small snack. You're continuing on in your project, you're being productive, lunchtime hits, you're headed into a meeting, you eat an appropriate lunch, you're fully engaged in that meeting, and then a few hours later, it's mid-afternoon, it's time for another snack, you're finishing up work, and it enables you to go into your home fully engaged in the relationships that matter most to you, and you're able to be engaged with your family, your friends. Then you sit down for an appropriate sized dinner, enjoy that, and then after dinner, you're being productive. You're able to get things done you need to at home. Now, what about a day where you're not fueling properly? So you wake up, you maybe hit the snooze button a couple of times, and then you skip breakfast. No time for it. You're out the door, you rush into work, open your computer, you're shooting out emails, putting out fires, but it's taking you a little bit longer to do all of those because you don't have proper fuel. You blaze through the morning, getting things done, you hit lunch, and because you're running behind, you don't have time. You're like, just go, keep going. And by mid-afternoon, you haven't eaten anything, and you are starving. So what do? You go to the vending machine, and you're craving some kind of cookie or Coke or soda or chips, anything that's going to give you that, like, pick-me-up, that sugar. That's what your body needs to give you that energy. So you get that pick-me-up, you make it through the end of your day, and you walk into your home, and what are you doing? You're raiding your pantry. Where are the chips? Where are the cookies? I'm starving. And then you make it to dinner, and you're probably fixing 2, maybe even 3 plates of food. Again, you're so hungry. You haven't fueled your body all day, and your body's saying, please, I need food. I need fuel to be able to keep going. And then you've eaten so much at that dinner, you kind of go into a food coma at the end of the night. And so instead of being able to be engaged in those relationships, you turn on the TV. You're so tired. And you're having to maybe tell your son, no, I can't go out and help you practice your baseball swing. Or you're kind of staring blankly at your daughter who's talking to you about her day at school because it's hard to concentrate and you're tired. Or you're not engaged in a conversation with your spouse. You're in front of the TV catching up on a show. Or you're declining another invitation to go hang out with your friends. How do you prevent a day like that from happening? It's all about fueling yourself properly. And what does that look like? It's fueling yourself by eating every 3 to 4 hours of the appropriate portions of the right food for your body. And doing this, you are going to have your best energy consistently throughout the day. You are going to increase your productivity. You're going to be fully engaged for the people that matter most and in your work and in your hobbies. Plus, you're going to increase your metabolism and you're going to change your body composition and you're going to prevent craving those sugary foods. So that brings us to the 4 nutrition principles that are going to help you do this. So we talked about the why food is so important and how that is so key to your energy. Let's talk about how do you do that? How do you stay fueled throughout the day? So our first principle, our first nutrition principle is eating within an hour of waking up and every 3 to 4 hours after that. A ravenous person is not a rational person. So by fueling yourself every couple hours, it's going to help you make wise decisions, especially when it comes to what you're eating. So what does that look like? We need to be eating our meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then we need small snacks in between those meals to keep us fueled. What does a snack look like? There's really 3 key ingredients for an appropriate snack. First is you want it to have 100 to 150 calories. Second, you want it to have protein. And third, you want it to have some fiber. That could be a small protein bar. It could be a handful of nuts. It could be a cup of yogurt or Greek yogurt. It could be a cheese stick with grapes, or it could be an apple with peanut butter. There's many options, but it's small and it has some protein and fiber because that's going to keep your blood glucose stable, supplying your body with the energy it needs to function in those given 3 to 4 hours. So that's nutrition principle number 1, eating within an hour of waking up and then every 3 to 4 hours after that. So we've got to get our meals in. So that takes us to the nutrition principle number 2. And what does an appropriate meal look like? The key is you want it to be appropriate for your body, and we're all different. We're all individuals. I love that. So I have a really good principle I like to follow when it comes to knowing how much you need for your body. You have 5 handfuls of food at your meals. So remember, we talked about the snacks. They're smaller, but your meals are a little bit bigger. You have 5 handfuls. And what a handful means is if you take your right hand and you cup it, you take your left hand and put it flat on top of that right hand, that's a portion size. That's a handful for you. And that works best, and everybody's different. We all have different body sizes and shapes, so your hands work best for your body. Good news is you always have your hands wherever you go, too, so you can look and see, okay, whether I'm eating out, whether I'm eating at home, whether I am on a plane, wherever I am, I know how much food I need to be eating at one time. So what does those 5 handfuls look like? They're divided into 3 food groups. The first one is you have 1 handful of protein food. So you have your protein foods are any kind of meat, your chicken, your fish, your beef, your pork, turkey. It's also eggs and nuts and nut butters. Dairy is also a protein. So if you think about that, you have 1 handful of any kind of protein food. Next, you have 2 handfuls of grain foods. And what grain foods are any kind of carbohydrate food. It's your bread, your pasta, your rice, your cereal, oatmeal. It's also any kind of beans, so like black beans, pinto beans, that falls into the grain foods. They have a little bit of protein too, but it's mainly a grain food. And then it's also your sweets and desserts and your chips. So it's a piece of pie. It's 2 handfuls of tortilla chips. It's also your sweetened beverages. So a regular sweet tea or a regular Coke. That would all fall into your grain food category. And then the last category is 2 handfuls of fruit or vegetable. And you can mix and match that how you want. You can see on even this plate on the slide, there's some green beans and there's some fruit. You can do that, or you can have it be a salad, or you can have it be just a bowl of fruit. Either way, that's the way your plate should look at each meal. So number 3, the nutrition principle number 3 is applying the 80-20 principle. So what this is where 80% of the foods that you eat in a day are your need foods, and 20% are your want foods. What does that mean? So your need foods are all those really good foods. Eating clean, if you've ever heard that. That's what need foods are. It's your fruits, it's your vegetables, it's your lean protein foods. It's your whole grains like brown rice or quinoa or oatmeal. All those are your need foods. You want 80% of the foods you're eating in the day to be those foods. And then you have 20% being those want foods. So you don't have to totally deprive yourself of maybe the piece of pizza you want or ice cream you want. Just be strategic and maybe only have one of those a day. So it's just 20% of the foods you're eating. Depends on how big it is. Maybe it's twice a day. So you can see what the want foods are. It's your pizza, it's your fried foods, it's your desserts, your sweetened beverages, all of that. Again, applying the 80-20 principle gives you some flexibility, keeps you eating really good and clean throughout the day with a little bit of maybe one treat during the day. And then the last principle is principle number 4, it's drinking water. That's really so key. And water is so important for your body. 50 to 75% of your body is water. So most of your brain, around 70% of your brain is water. So you can imagine if you're not drinking water, it's going to really affect how you think and how you're able to focus. You're not going to be as productive as if you were drinking water throughout the day. The goal for water is really trying to get around half of your body weight in that water or fluids, you know, somewhere maybe around 65 to 75 ounces. Now, what about other drinks? I get that question a lot. Okay, I like water, but what about other things? The way you look at it is thinking, I want to drink 1 cup of water for every caffeinated drink I drink. So coffee, tea, Coke. Caffeine can tend to be a diuretic and cause us to lose water. We just want to replace it. And that's going to be part of the 64 to 75 ounces of water that you need a day. So 1 cup of water for every 1 cup of caffeinated drink. And then what about drinks that have sugar in them? I talked about it previously, but you want to count that as one of your handfuls of grain food. So if you wanted a Coke at lunch, count it as that 1 handful of grain. So maybe you do a salad, and maybe you do a piece of chicken on top of salad, and you use that Coke as your grain food. And then what about all the other stuff? You know, the Crystal Light or the vitamin water, all the drinks that don't really have any kind of sugar or caffeine in them. You know what? Drink in moderation. That can count as part of your daily fluid intake. But you just want to drink it in moderation because it does have stuff in it. And your body's still going to have to process that stuff, whether it's artificial coloring or artificial sweeteners. Your body will have to process that. So as long as you're drinking it in moderation and still drinking water, you're good, and you will still have good energy. So those are the 4 nutrition principles. That's how you fuel yourself. We talked about why that's so important, to give you sustained energy throughout the day, and then it's helping your body stay fueled consistently throughout the day. It's eating every couple of hours. It's eating those appropriate portion sizes at your meals and your snacks. It's following the 80-20 principle, and then it's drinking your water. Simple, doable. Those are 4 simple steps in helping you have energy and fueling yourself properly. Another piece of your physical energy is moving, and moving helps us stay fueled. And a lot of you may be thinking, okay, you know, if energy is a limited resource, why should I spend it on exercise? Have you ever thought maybe at the end of the day you're just too tired to exercise? I want to just shift your thinking a little bit on movement and exercise. I want you to begin to see that exercise is not so much as spending energy, but investing your energy. So when you're spending something, you leave with less than what you started. But when you're investing, you see a return on what you put in. And our bodies work the same way. They respond to a challenge, and that's some type of exercise or movement. And it will increase its capacity because it was challenged. So it will actually have more energy. So, you know, you've heard, if you don't use it, you lose it. It's the same with our bodies. If we don't challenge our muscles and our bones, they'll begin to deteriorate. But if we do the proper movement and exercise, we're going to end up being stronger, we're going to be more fit, and we're going to have more energy throughout the day. So what does exercise or movement entail? There's really 3 major categories, and I'm going to briefly talk about them and give you simple ways that you can just begin applying these so that you can have increased energy for increased productivity. The first one is your cardio or cardiovascular exercise. What is that? It's really anything that increases your heart rate or your breathing. Examples of it. It could be swimming, running, or walking, biking, tennis, soccer, skiing. Again, anything that gets your heart rate pumping and you're breathing hard. So what do you need to do for increased energy? Really, it could be as simple as 3 days a week for 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be a much to see that challenge of your muscle and your bones to see the increased capacity and energy. Now you could also do it for a longer time. You could do it 6 days a week for 60 minutes. But the minimum, you want to try to get 3 days a week for 20 minutes. And then the second category is going to be your resistance training or your strength training. What is that? That's movements that challenge your bones and your muscles. It could be as simple as a push-up or a sit-up, or it could be as complex as lifting weights and being in the gym and lifting your dumbbells. So it could be any of those. What do you need to do right now for more energy? It's just 20 minutes a day for 2 days a week. So that's it. It doesn't require too much time. But you do want to be challenging your major muscle groups. So think about it as your legs, your arms, your abs, your back, your shoulders. Those are the things you want to work. Those are the things you want to challenge so that you can increase your capacity. And then the last category is stretching and flexibility. What is that? That's just movements that elongate your tendons and your muscles. That could be anything from touching your toes to going to a yoga class to getting a massage. Yes, a massage can actually elongate your muscles and tendons. So what can you do now for more energy? Really stretch every day. Again, it doesn't have to be complex. It could be standing up and reaching for your toes. Just stretch every day. And there are studies out there, many studies, that are showing that after 90 minutes of concentrated work, your mental clarity and focus will begin to dull and decline. And you're going to make poor decisions after 90 minutes of focused work. So how do you change this? Have recovery breaks throughout your day. And the best way to do it is get up after 90 minutes of focused work and stretch. You can reach to the ceiling. You can reach down to your toes. It's also a great time to eat that small snack. So again, if you're thinking about an 8-hour day, it's about 5 times a day, just getting up and walking around, stretching, eating a small snack. That will increase your productivity, give you more energy, and help you think clearly. So I have a challenge for you as we're ending our call. I have a 1-month challenge, and it's to follow all of these principles. The 4 nutrition principles we talked about: eating every couple of hours, making sure you're eating those proper portions, 5 handfuls of food at each meal. It's applying the 80-20 principle and drinking your water. And it's moving, just incorporating some type of movement through it sometime in your day. If you can do those 5 things just every single day for 1 month, I promise you will feel more energy. Actually, I promise you'll feel more energy in 2 weeks. But you'll definitely see it in a month, and you'll actually begin to notice a difference in your body. Your body composition is going to change. Whether you need to lose weight, whether you need to gain weight, whether you don't need to do any of those, you just want to shift where things are in your body and you want to increase your muscle mass, you're going to see that within a month, 1 month of following these principles. And lastly, you're going to perform your best. You are going to increase your productivity because you have sustained and best energy consistently throughout your day. There's never going to be a time when you lapse, and that increases your productivity. So those are my promises if you follow those principles for 1 month. So that's the end of our healthy habits. I want to make myself available for you if you do have any questions. It was a brief kind of big overview of some healthy habits that will increase your productivity. But if you do have questions, feel free to email info@buildingchampions.com, and I will be happy to respond to any questions you do have. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Tim, and he's going to share with you a little bit about the Building Champions experience.
Wow, Ginny, You made a very complicated topic simple to understand. Thank you for giving us that little push we need to develop and maintain healthy habits. Guys, the experience is just 4 weeks away. It's not too late to join us for 4 days of coaching, best practices, insight, and connection with an incredible group of like-minded business professionals. For example, this year, our health breakout at the Building Champions Experience is with Dr. Drew Lawson, who is also a Building Champions coach. Drew will be leading a talk titled Training the Corporate Athlete. And his talk will touch on physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional health. The experience will give you tools and time to reflect, plan, and connect. It's a time when you can evaluate where you are versus where you want to be and to create plans to close the gap. You can register today at bce2013.com. That's bce2013.com. Look forward to seeing you there. Thanks for being on the call today. I encourage each of you to take the 1-month challenge, change your habits, change your life, and let us know how it goes at info@buildingchampions.com. Have a great rest of the day, and goodbye for now.